Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back, everybody. If you're looking to achieve a goal, whatever it is, personally, professionally, it starts with one thing, and that's mindset. You could have the best laid plans. You could have everything documented, which is fantastic, but you're probably not going to achieve what you want to unless you have the right mindset to do that. How do we define this word? It's kind of a buzzword last year or so, mindset. We're going to dig into that today, or actually dig back. We skimmed it a few times last time we got together with her, and she is an amazing coach that powers you through a lot, including your mindset. And she is Coach Jay, and she's back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks. Doing well.
So I think in my mind how to define the word mindset. And I've got ideas of how I would verbalize what a mindset is, but I got to be honest, I'm not even 100% sure I would be accurate in describing it. So how would you?
I would say mindset is a collection of thoughts that we have based on feelings and experiences. And so we put those experiences together with whatever feelings are evoked, and that creates the thoughts that we have present day on how we move forward, how we handle tasks. Our mindset's very important to success and failure, achieving goals or getting in our own way.
If you find that you're not achieving your goals, let's say you've got them in place, you're taking steps to get closer to achieving them, it's just not happening. You don't know why. How would you look at somebody's mindset at that point?
Sure. Let's just look at what are they believing about themselves? What are they believing about the situation? Is their mindset fixed, or is it growth? You know, if it's a fixed mindset, it's a mindset that has almost like a tunnel vision, but a mindset that looks at things as growth, that shifts easily, to be able to see, setbacks as learning opportunities or setbacks as challenges instead of failures. Mindset of being able to embrace the unexpected, embrace challenges, embrace the obstacles, and which would be embracing discomfort. It's not going as you've planned. That doesn't feel very good. So a fixed mindset would tend to just up and say, I failed. Whereas a growth mindset would look at the opportunity that has come before them to maybe shift or rearrange or refocus their path.
I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but this is my current example of mindset. And I had always been afraid of blood tests. Grown man. When I had a routine lab coming up, you take one once a year, I would make an appointment for the lab. And the day before, let me just change that and put it off for another week. Another week would come. I'm busy. I'm going to change that again. I would keep putting it off. This only changed in the past year or so, whereby now I just walk in and I'm ready to go. Here's my arm. Do whatever you got to do. I recently had a little bit of a health scare, and it's all good. It was a mistake that a diagnosis. It's all fantastic. However, to get to that point in 2 months, I must have had, 12 needles. Would have been way out of my comfort zone previously unless I changed one thing, and that was my mindset. And I even talked to a doctor the other day. He goes, well, what changed with your mindset? I said, well, I flipped it around in my mind to say to myself, when I need to get a needle, I'm doing something for myself. I'm going to get information that is going to be great, or it's going to be information that will give me a direction, something I need to take care of to better myself. It's all for me. Don't worry about anything else. The stuff you're worrying about, it's like, what if I pass out? Never happened. Not going to worry about it. And I just flipped it to and it was almost like magic, Coach Jay. magic where it's just, wow, I'm sitting there talking to the phlebotomist. So, having fun. It's like, I look forward to it. I never thought I would, but it clearly was my mindset. And am I right in calling it my mindset that I changed?
Absolutely. You took an opportunity to take something that brought you fear, discomfort,
Mm,
and you changed it around and said, you know what? This is something that is going to actually empower me. It's going to give me information about myself, no matter how scary or how undesirable the results are. But it's arming you with facts and information to move forward. Instead, you've just put it off, and then the fear builds, and it's this never-ending cycle. Whereas now you've empowered yourself, and you can move forward. You can move on
mm.
and tackle the situation.
Now I look at it when it's done, no matter what it is, whether it's one needle or 10 or five, whatever. I, in my mind, praise myself. And I actually say, you did it. That was good. And there was a time I'm going to share with you last week. They had to stick 6 needles in me. And my first thought was, after the first one, they numb me up. I'm like, cool. I'm not even kidding. It's like, that was nothing. And I just, stare at a ceiling tile. Yeah, we're done. All right, cool. Thank you very much. That was fun. Thanks for being gentle. And I walk out. All good. But it was a flip of the mindset. And I honestly, I never thought I would get out of that rabbit hole after decades and decades of worrying about getting a blood test or a needle or whatever. Now it's like, but it's so gratifying once you change it. And once you realize that you've changed your mindset.
Sure. I mean, you reframe obstacles into stepping stones, you train yourself to find solutions instead of being paralyzed or, making excuses. So, you're empowering yourself by flipping that mindset around. And people are afraid to do that. We're afraid to, even though we know that if we don't get that test or we don't step forward and do something different, we know that we're going to be in the same place. So it's scary, but we just need to, like you said, you flip that mindset, and it can be very empowering.
So what's the process? I wonder if maybe I did it differently. I could have changed my mindset a long time ago, but I don't know the process. I had to go through, you know, those challenges of worrying till I got to that point. Is there a formula? Is it write your thoughts down, create a journal? What are you thinking? Yeah, how do we do this?
Sure. Well, if you're, well, experience, sometimes we don't know what we don't know. We don't realize that we have to change our mindset. We don't realize
Mm,
that we're stuck. So, first and foremost, either working with a coach or self-help books, whatever your mode of um, self-empowerment, self-fulfillment, self-healing is, whether it's reading or videos or working with someone one-on-one. The first step is recognizing that you're struggling in your life with making decisions that keep you stuck,
mm,
or choosing not to make decisions which keep you stuck. You know,
it's true. Yeah.
so to recognize that first and foremost, and then how do you go about that? For some people, it's they need to talk it out. Some are very well with writing it out. Um, some can just watch videos. Some need to work with a coach for that accountability. Accountability is huge for a lot of people, probably most people. Put it that way.
Mhm.
So working with someone, whether it's a coach, a therapist, a friend, a mentor, accountability is huge. And also having that other party outside of yourself, that's a whole different view, and
Mm.
so we can be enlightened by someone else's perspective of ourselves because, like I said, Our thoughts are very closely linked to our feelings, which are linked to our experiences. And so we just, without even realizing it, have gotten these patterns and these habits that have just been there for infinitum. And until someone points it out or we get a little discomfort at what we've been doing all along, we don't realize we have to change it. So really the first step is recognition, awareness, and then the second step is making the decision to change that.
I would imagine, and I'm going to just use my my mindset change that I described as an example. Celebrate the wins, because that was impactful for me. And I said it before, but I didn't realize it until you're talking. I said, "Oh, good, you did it. All right, on to the next one. On to the next one." It's like, well, you pulled that one off. You're good. Even though it was only a needle, it was a big deal for me. Um,
Right.
but I celebrated it in my mind, like, you did it. All right, good for you. All right, now you're not going to worry the next
Absolutely.
time. Yeah, and maybe we forget to do that.
Yeah. And with that, you build trust in yourself and your
Yes.
ability to handle something new and different that's
Yep.
scary or uncomfortable. And so now you're then building a new path for yourself. And so as you step out and you step forward and you start building trust in yourself to do new things, scarier things, more difficult or uncomfortable things, um, you actually then are able to make the decision to, or you don't even have to decide, it almost becomes second nature. You know what? I think I can try that now. Let me try that. So as you tackle more uncomfortable and scary things, you're
Sure.
more willing to step out and do more of that, because you're gaining trust within yourself. You're building consistency. You're empowering yourself. You're changing your mindset.
Do you recall a time where you had to change your mindset, and what was the conditions around it, and how did it go?
Sure. Quite honestly, quite bluntly, smoking cigarettes.
Hmm.
I started as a teenager and I smoked for a couple of years, and it was a social thing, and uh, it just became a habit. And the work I did, it was just a lot of things just revolved around smoking, and so I smoked, and um, the decision to stay in the same work field, as a paramedic. I mean, at the time, we smoked a lot. It was, stressful, and, it was accepted. And, so you fall into things and, they're not good for you. And so, yeah, I had to change my mindset on that, many, many years ago. So, and that was difficult, because you're not just physically addicted, you've got all these other behaviors and actions surrounding that habit. So now you've got to change your mindset, and you've really got to learn to also change behaviors, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, not react to stress and pick up whatever your vice is, Um, and so it can be quite challenging, but that was, my first and foremost biggest challenge.
What did it for you? Was it thinking about your health? Was it what was the catalyst to the mindset change?
Sure, it was a combination of things. Health was first and foremost. Like, what am I doing? Why did I ever start this? How did I begin this?
Hmm.
Um, Health first and foremost, and it wasn't. I just felt like it wasn't me. Um, it wasn't me. I was an athlete before before that, and after that. So just the whole idea of it was kind of silly. So
Did you have
yeah.
accountability? Because I believe that's a big part of this.
At that time, I actually did not.
Hmm.
I did not. So that made it very difficult. And it took me probably 2 years, 2 hard years of being able to get to nothing all day, every day for weeks and months. It took me two
Wow.
years by myself to do it. You know, the
Hmm.
struggle was real.
Gotcha. But I'm thinking, if you had accountability, let's say you had a coach that that would have been much faster. And even thinking about my fear of needles, um,
Sure. Easier
it
too.
yeah, everything is relative, but it's a journey and a goal that you want to achieve. If somebody was before me, say a coach, never even thought about it, but they presented certain things. So, for example, what are you worried about? Why do you worry about that? Because
Right.
I didn't do that. Because once you start thinking about things yourself, I call it like it's the ricochet in your brain, inside your head, bing, 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 back and forth. I'm like, I can't even process this. But if it was
Right.
carefully laid out and thought about, I probably would have had a much sooner epiphany of, like you did. Why am I doing this? Or why am I afraid of this? Why? Well, wait a minute. That doesn't really make sense now that I think about it. But
Right.
it took us years because we didn't have somebody walking that journey. I really believe it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that fuels my desire to coach people and help
Mm,
them be aware, mindset is we can really get caught up with thoughts and feelings that we're unaware of that are getting stirred up within us, and we fall back into old habits or old behaviors that um, we don't we haven't recognized, so
And there
it's
that's a really great point, Coach Jay. There may be things within us, call it our subconscious, that we don't realize. Maybe for me, and I'm past it, but maybe the reason I was uh, fearful of needles was maybe a fear of blood. Maybe there was an accident, I fell when I was a kid, or something that I don't even remember.
sure.
That has that block in my mind. I obviously overcame it, but took way longer than it should have taken. But
Yeah,
maybe there's something there.
absolutely, absolutely.
Hmm.
um,
Same thing with your smoking. Maybe you gravitated toward smoking, not just because it's a social thing, other people were doing around you, but maybe there's something else that was in your mind that kind
sure.
of had you hold on to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's we we're human. We want comfort.
Mm.
We want an, not that we want an easy life, but we want some ease within our lives. That's why they call it comfort foods or,
Hmm. Yeah.
comfortable this, comfortable that. We work hard all day. We have stressors put upon us, and we reach for something at the end of the day or in the middle of the day or beginning whenever, to give us comfort. And we don't realize, or it takes us a while to realize that we don't need those external comforts. We have it all within us.
Mm.
It's just knowing that and believing that, and then being able to activate that.
So I'm seeing this in a different light, that when you need to change your mindset, you and tell me your thoughts. You usually have to get outside of your comfort zone in order for a change to take place. Obviously, I got out of my comfort zone accepting needles. You got out of your comfort zone with smoking because I'm sure you were thinking, this is what I do. This makes me feel better. If I don't do this, what's going to happen? I'm going to be stressed out.
Right.
This is going to happen. That's it. You're going to be out of your comfort zone. So, would you say, for the most part, when you change your mindset or contemplate it, you are you have to step outside of your comfort zone?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Because we've created these habits of creating a comfort that we don't know until, like I said, until we have a discomfort that they don't serve us anymore, or,
Hmm.
that maybe they never served us and we thought they did. And so now, okay, this doesn't work for me. And especially if you're alone and you don't have someone to help you or guide you or be a mentor or give you accountability, what direction do I go in? How do I fix this? How do I
Right.
change this?
Right.
you know? Um, what's my next step? Where do I begin? So, yeah, and then that stirs up feelings based on past experiences, and like I said, awareness, trusting yourself are huge in being able to make those next steps after you're aware that you need to change something, you know?
Without a doubt, I've learned, took a long time to figure this out. And it started from a big event that the more you go through things, changing your mindset, but also dealing with situations, the more trust you have in yourself, the more resilience you have in yourself, and it's almost like the fuel that powers you along. But sometimes it could be uncomfortable in the beginning, but then you keep going. Is there a difference between these two words, mindfulness and mindset? Are they saying, I hear those two? Is it essentially the same thing?
No, no,
Oh,
it's not the same thing.
okay.
Mindset is your collection, I believe. Mindset is your collection of thoughts and feelings in how you interpret your surroundings and how you move forward and move through things. Mindfulness is the awareness of how you think and feel before you react to your surroundings or you respond to your surroundings. Mindfulness would be more of a more you're responding, you're not necessarily reacting. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, the two really work well hand in hand, but I there are to me nuances that separate the two from them being the same. Mindfulness is more deliberate, um, more thought out, more planned. Just there's a lot more awareness to that. And then mindset to me is the basically the culmination, which helps you get to that next step.
Is there, final thought here, is there a best way to change those negative thoughts when they come up? Example, I have a blood test coming up tomorrow. Oh boy, I'm gonna change the date. Yeah. Is there something you should say to yourself when those blocks come up, those beliefs come up?
Sure, sure. When you start to when you think about things and you start to think I can't or I'm not able to, the first thing I can do this. I can do this. I'm strong, I'm capable, I can do this. And if you have time, you can think to yourself, okay, where is this coming from? Why am I even thinking this? This is ridiculous. But you can't even do that because you start say if you're saying this is ridiculous, now you're putting yourself back down again.
Mm.
So so you really need to be able to just counter those negative thoughts with positive ones. I can do this. I'm capable. Um, I'm worthy. I'm strong enough. You know, Positive affirmations are very
Yeah,
important.
yeah. Um, 1 billion% agree. And that I would have to say this for me, like a game changer, because we can speak negative thoughts within our mind, or speak nothing, but nothing's going to happen unless you put the positivity in there, because that's what happened when you were a kid and mom or dad would say something to you. Yeah, you did a really good job at that. That painting came out really good. It
Right.
fueled you to move to the next level or to have the confidence in yourself. And if you're not doing it, then have a coach do it. Have somebody with the accountability.
Absolutely. We have to speak to ourselves with love as we would a best friend.
100%. Yeah. How do we find you? What's your website, Coach Jay?
Sure. Well, I don't have a website. I have a link for Calendly app. You
Gotcha.
can reach me at calendly.com/coach J with the number two. You can find me on Facebook, my page for Transformations with Jay, where I have pointers and inspirational um, information there.
Sure.
Also 352-410-2133 is my direct line. And that's how you can reach me.
Awesome. When we say Jay, it's Jay, just want to make that distinction.
Yes. Jay, yes.
Beautiful. Mindset is everything. It really is. If you want to see progress in your life and move it forward, you got to change. Don't just change your mind, change your mindset. Coach Jay, thank you so much for being here today. Congratulations on your journey with smoking. And there's
and we can't be afraid to step out and step into a new being.
Absolutely.
And make that change.
All right. We'll catch up next time. Thanks again.
Yes. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.